Welcome back to Ride JBI. This is JB. Today is the first look at the first sample batch of our JBI WP fork pressure springs. As you can see, we have 4 springs on the left that are the OEM WP brand pressure springs. And then next to it, we have 8 pressure springs that are colored blue, and these are the JBI brand. We have decided to use different colored springs as a way to identify what spring rate is being used. So that way when you're working on forks and you pull apart the compression assembly, you can just quickly glance at the spring color and look at our reference guide that we'll have posted, and again identify what spring rate has been installed. As you can see, of the 4 WP brand springs we have here on the left, there's a slight variance in the height. As you can see, the one on the very end is a little bit shorter than this one. This one's a little bit shorter than that one, and then this one looks to be the shortest. But the variance is very small. It is about a millimeter, probably a little bit less. And this is very common and accepted when it comes to manufacturing springs. When it comes to manufacturing anything, there's usually a variance or allowable tolerance that'll still be accepted. Here we have 8 of the JBI springs on the right of it. And as you can see, all of these are very similar in height, but even then there's a small variance in the total height of the spring, but not as much as some of the WP springs. So our height is a lot more consistent going across on all the springs. We also duplicated the spring design, meaning the number of coils, where the coil starts, and then where the coil ends, meaning on the other side of the spring. And also, most importantly, the thickness of our wire, because all that is going to determine the spring rate. WP often laser etches the spring rate into the top of their spring. Here we can see the 12, another 12 for that one, and this one might be a little hard to make out, and for that one as well. But not all of their springs. This one right here is unmarked on both sides. But an easy way to identify them is you can always measure the thickness of this wire. And we have a guide posted on our website at ridejbi.com that lists out the dimensions of the different spring rates that WP offers for fork pressure springs. The wire diameter for these is pretty much 3.65 millimeters, and that is the same exact for these ones as well. The manufacturer that supplied these also supplied us with a video of them spring dynoing each of these springs to show us what spring rate that these came out to be, and all of them came out to be absurdly close to exactly 12 newtons. I say absurdly close because each spring will rate just a little bit different than each one, and that is true for the OEM springs as well. So again, when it comes to manufacturing, we always have a target that we're going for in terms of, in this case, the spring rate, 12 newtons, but we also have an acceptable tolerance. What I mean by that is some springs will measure out to be 11.9 newtons, some will measure out to be 12.2 or 12.3 and some change newtons. All of those absurdly close to our target of 12 newtons. It's when a spring rate is far outside of those tolerance range that we're looking for is when the spring is rejected. But if that's the case, usually that is because the spring design is not the same. And again, what I mean by that is the number of coils, the coil thickness, or the wire diameter thickness, how we have the coils spaced, length of the spring, and so on. So we're going to get these springs also independently tested by a friend of ours with his spring rate tester as well. We're going to test all 4 of these stock WP springs to get a more clear understanding of their variance, just for reference and bench point. And then we'll rate all these 8 ones as well to see where they fall. And then after that, we're going to throw them into a couple forks and stress test them to see how they work out. This probably isn't as product that we'll be offering anytime soon, and what I mean by that is within the next couple weeks or even month, but it is something that we are actively working on and excited to be offering in the near future in 2024. So the blue ones we're going to be doing for the 12 Newton spring rate, and then we'll be doing some other colors for the other spring rates that are available as well. Thank you guys for watching. All JBI suspension services and parts can be found at ridejbi.com.